exactly what has been going on in that particular state. So ahead of the governorship election in Edo and Ondo, to be precise, the Independent National Election Commission (INEC) has warned that the fierce political tension brewing in Edo ahead of the September 19 governorship election poll may lead to a declaration of state of emergency in the state, if not carefully managed. Just overnight, INEC's office in Ondo was gutted by fire, and card reader machines were burnt alongside other equipment and tools meant for that election coming up. That's in Ondo. Edo State there is there just the other day. Some thugs invaded a market and ransacked the market, chasing away marketers. From reports, that's because majority of those doing their trade in that market are in support of an opposing candidate. Well, an organization here in Nigeria, Kimpact Development Initiative, they did a study, they did a survey in August, and from their survey, they reveal that Edo Indigene says human rights violation could lead to tension and violation in the forthcoming governorship election. They examined all the parameters that could lead to successful or failure, in otherwise, of the election in Edo State. Let's bring Compact Development representative on the show this morning, who will be joining me via the telephone to come talk about this more with us on the program this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm presenting Bukola Idowu from Compact Development Initiative here. Bukola, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm going to, as usual, I'm going to ask for what exactly your report is all about and what you found out with your report on Edo governorship election.
Okay, thank you very much. Our report, basically, the study we conducted is basically to look at the election security risk assessment of Edo State. We did the same thing in Ondo State, but we released the report of Edo State. So it's called election security risk assessment. So basically, is to explore views and then have knowledge of expectation of peaceful election in Ondo 2020. So where we look at warning signals, where we can get warning signals, potential for violence in that election, as regard the election, basically to identify electoral risk factors, early warning signals, potential causes and triggers of electoral violence and violence against women in elections. So that stakeholders like INEC, security agencies, legislators, civil society, even the media could deploy appropriate strategy to mitigate the issue of election before they come up, election violence before they come up. So basically, what we now did was to now come up with our findings, and then we have to share with stakeholders so that they can deploy appropriate mitigating strategies.
Let's start with electoral literacy. It's being said over and over again. You worked on this as well. How would you describe the awareness level of voters in Edo State towards the election next week? How would you describe it from what you found out?
Yes, from our findings, it shows that about 80% of the respondents, because we have a sample size of over 1,200 respondents, and 80% of them are aware that there's going to be an election. They are aware that the date of the election, they are aware people are contesting election, but they are not aware of the processes that for that election, and that is worrying. For instance, now close to 70% of the respondents are not even aware of the COVID regulations put down with by INEC. So for us, that one is again a potential for violence. What do I mean? INEC has been repeating this constantly, that if no mask, no voting. Now, people are not even aware. I am presently in Benin now. People are not even aware of this particular procedure. Just only few people that are aware of this. So you cannot imagine when people come to the polling unit and they are turned back because of no mask. You know what that can lead to.
Right.
So then again, the INEC have a lot of new innovation now as regard voting within pandemic, which is about number one, there are some voting points that are going to collapse. There are new demarcation in terms of they call it outer line and inner line where people are going to be. So the way people are not the literacy in terms of the processes of this election is poor. And when you compare. From that was our finding. Is very poor.
Well, you mentioned 70%, and you know when you said that, something just went wow in my head like a siren, because to me that's a trigger for violence in that election, because nobody, like you have rightly said, nobody would get to a polling booth and you would say that the person can't vote because the person isn't wearing a nose mask, and we know that. Observance of the COVID-19 protocols are gradually reducing, if not totally disappeared already. And that is what is bringing me to my next question this morning, which is, of course, the impact of the role of INEC, the preparation of INEC, because in your report, I'm seeing that you put it there that INEC preparation is key to the peaceful conduct of the forthcoming election. Now, what informed this particular line, this particular sentence that you put there in your report? Did you see the INEC preparation is maybe lagging, or the preparation hasn't been adequate enough? What are the things that informed this statement in your report?
Okay, thank you. Now, one thing we need to understand is this. It's for us. I think we want to see a serious synergy between INEC and some government agency responsible for dissemination of information, most especially the National Orientation Agency. And I think they have the capacity, looking at their structure, they have the capacity to take the message of this COVID-19 protocol to all the nooks and crannies of the local government. And that is one thing we have to see, because whether you like it or not, people are not aware of some of these things. And because they felt the COVID-19 frenzy is reducing. So, I mean, people are already throwing caution into the window. And you can also look at that from the campaigns the political parties are having. So it shows that there is no physical distancing and the rest. In fact, you have a lot of them even coming to the campaign ground without nose masks. So having said that, we are looking at a serious synergy between these the government agency and INEC. Even the INEC need to use the media more now. But having said, when you now at least with that INEC preparation, this coming election is very. And when we are looking at that, 52% of the respondents said, look, they agree, and that if they don't prepare very well, it could lead to violence. And I do example because aside giving people questionnaires, so we have to do a lot of key informant interviews. Now, one of the things we find out is that, look, people are not going to be patient, most especially the youth are not going to be patient in this particular election. So what we are now saying is that INEC doesn't need to come to the polling unit and then we begin to hear the story of smart card reader is not functioning. So that is part of the preparation. So whatever they need to do to make sure that they have a seamless, each free smart card reader operation for accreditation that day is needed. Is very, very important. That is number one. Number two is we also identify as part of that preparedness, one of the things identified is about the competency of the ad hoc staffs. Now, we have seen it in some elections where you have some of the ad hoc staff, they don't even understand the process. They can't even do simple addition, when it comes to adding results together and things like that. So now people are saying that, look, your preparedness in terms of training your staff, especially the ad hoc staff that you will be employing to do that work that day, is very key. Then number 3 is in terms of distribution of election materials. Now, what this means is in twofold. Number 1, are we going to have your preparation in terms of early arrival of material at the polling unit and early commencement of the election? That is also key. Then the other one is the accurate distribution of those materials. Now, which means materials can arrive early, but may be the wrong material for that polling unit. And we have seen this severally. Now, again, we also see a situation where election materials arrive, and then people will now be asking, where is result sheet? Result sheet is nowhere to be found. So what it means is that they need to make sure they dot all the I's and cross all the T's, because tension is in the air already, and any suspected foul play could trigger violence. That's exactly what that means.
I am going to come back to the issue of tension and the youths. Let's dwell on the INEC's preparation. From your report, when you asked your respondent as to the readiness of INEC, 52.4% agree that INEC could be ready for election. INEC is ready. 18.8% disagree that INEC could be ready, and 28.8% are not sure. And this not sure percentage is what really is disturbing. What does that mean, really? Not sure.
Well, not sure means it can fall either side. No, because probably number 1, they may not be. They may not be properly be able to assess INEC preparedness. And then again, some people might prefer to stay in the middle. But in research, what we do most times is this: you look at the people who are not sure. Now, if you add them to the people that disagree, what are you going to have? If you add them to people who agree, what are you going to have? But in this case, if you add them to people who disagree, they are still not up to people who agree. So, and if you had them to people who agree, you are likely going to be having around 70 something. Like about 72% or thereabout. So, which means the people that agree that preparedness of INEC in this election is key are more than to people who disagree.
Right.
So, what it means?
Hello.
To assess, so they don't want to commit them.
Oh no way. Oh, is he doing like that? Okay, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna hang up right now and call Bukola back. Bukola, if you can hear me, okay, Bukola is gone. We'll call Bukola back and get to hear more about Bukola. Again, what we're doing this morning on the Crossfire is to put facts and figures on the table, so you can have better understanding as to what you should expect in the coming Edo election. Kimpact Development Initiative is an NGO who went to Edo State and did a survey, carried out a study as to what exactly could happen if so and so are not put in place. If so and so are put in place, what exactly could happen? What are those people that are key towards a successful election in Edo State? What is the state of those people's involvement, those group of people's involvement in the success of Edo State election? Bukola Ido is from Kimpact Development Initiative. Bukola, thank you for rejoining us on the show this morning. You were saying something before the network did you in?
Yes, thank you. Now, so what we are saying is that the people that really agree that preparedness of INEC in this election are more than the people who disagree. And the people who are not sure, they may not want to commit themselves, and because probably they've not been able to assess the situation effectively. At the same time, in research, you need the third opinion too, so it can never be straight yes or no. So when you have add this to either of the two, the people that agree are still more, and which is also speaking to the importance of that. And this is not close at all. This is not, for instance, if we even put the people that are not sure aside, and then we want to stick with the agree and disagree, this is 52 to 18%.
Right.
So it's not. So it shows that people are, all eyes are on INEC in this election. Yes.
Now, let's talk about what you mentioned earlier, the youths who are growing impatient every day leading to the election, according to your findings. From your report, you also spoke with your respondent about the inclusion and exclusion of the youth. A lot of people seem to think that if young people are excluded from this process, it might lead to electoral violence. What's your thought, and what are the other things that you found out in the inclusion of young people in this election?
Yes. For instance, now from the register, over 50% of that. Let me just limit it to 50% of the registered voters are youth. Between ages of 18 to 35 to 40 are youth in this election. So that is a chunk number. And then because we finished conducting this before we even check the voters register, and that is key. So because when you marginalize this set of people,
right,
and it's a trigger for violence, because they are the chunk of this of the register. They are the highest people who register, and then even when you not disagree, that's what the data I gave you was just basically age data.
Right.
But when you look at things in terms of profession, and then disaggregate in terms of profession, then that 50%, the chunk of them are also students. So which means they are very key into this in this election. So what we are not looking at is this, and what this data about exclusion of youth is speaking to is that, whether we like it or not, research has also shown that most of the people who are perpetrating this violence are the youth, not the aged people. They are the youth. So now these are the people who are the perpetrator. At the same time, at some point too, they are the victims. So what it means is that particular demographic need to be taken care of in terms of conducting each free election, a transparent, a fair election.
Right.
Because anything that we exclude them to now say, look, ballot paper is not here, or you are cancelling a particular location because of one or two issues that may be actually resolved.
Right.
And if that particular place has the highest number of young people, then it's a trigger for violence. That is one of the things we are saying.
We'll stay with the youth in a moment before we go on a break. But Bukola, why I want to stay with the youth is the fact that what I want to know exactly what the mindset of the youths in the state is all about. Are they open to joining the process? I mean, the 50% of them, or even if it's 40 or 45% of them, are they open to it? Now, this is the reason I ask this question. Even in the general election, you find out that majority of youths don't take part in the election. They are very quick to come on radio, to go on TV and in newspapers, to share their thought. If you ask them if they've taken their voter cards, some of them actually have their voter cards, but they will never step out to go and cast their vote. They will never go to say they want to. They have their voter cards for every other reason but to vote. So what is the mindset of the average adult youth from what you have found out in your study?
Yes, I think when we want to, at the same time, we need to go further and disaggregate that youth component too.
Yes.
Because for me, I think with our own research too, they fall into two categories. The young people who are not coming out to vote, even with their PVC, why they have their PVC and everything, are more of the people we target, the elite youth, and these ones are educated, highly educated, they have good job, they don't want to come out because because of violence, and that they don't want to come out. So they stay in their house and then they begin to run the analysis on the social media, but you don't see them outside. But there are some other youth too who are not as educated as they are.
Right.
Who those are the people that are even ready to die for any politician. Those are the people, because we need to put it in perspective. Because when you say, for instance, when you look at disruption of election, carrying of ballot boxes, the violence that take place in election and on the election day, they have been carried out by the youth. So if you now say the youth are not even coming out, then who are the people carrying these ballot boxes? So they are into two. So there are people who fall into that category of political thugs. And those are the people, they are young people too. There are people who are not educated. These are the people that they buy their vote. The politicians buy their vote.
Right.
They pay them to go and vote for them. So in other words now, but coming back to Edo now, I can tell you with what we have seen now that the involvement of youth in this election is high, is very high here.
Oh, that's good.
And you can, and if you have followed the media report too, you were going to see them trooping out to most of the campaign places, that most especially youth and women, and you see them at the campaign places. That is very high.
Right.
But again, like we keep saying, this is not the best yardstick, before the election, because the truth of the matter is this: when we say people troop out for campaign, we don't always want to. We want to wait to say, look, let's look at the actual turnout before we could say their involvement. Because whether you like it or not, if a governor, a sitting governor, go to a particular local government to campaign.
Yeah.
There are people that come out and they see it as a lifetime opportunity to see their governor for the first time, and then some of the politicians also go to campaign with some of the artists, people singing.
Okay.
So people go to the place to enjoy
for different reasons. And
when you now compare the actual voters turnout to the people you see in those campaigns, they don't match at all.
Right.
So, but what we have now, we have been seeing young people coming out in participating in most of this campaign, in most of the town hall. But what we have been encouraging them through media adverts and some of the town hall meetings we have been speaking to. Yesterday we were speaking to youth party leaders.
Right.
All the 14 political parties that will be contesting in this election. We brought them together, the youth leader together. But what we are now trying to tell them is that they should make sure that energy is also translated to voting on the election day, not for the campaign alone.
Right.
And that is what we have been encouraging them to do.
Bukola, please stay on the line. Let's take a very short break. Okay, seems like I'm lying, but let's just take a break. When we return, we'll now go to the actors themselves. What you found out through the actions and behavior or attitudes of the actors themselves towards having a peaceful election in Edo State. Bukola Ido is from Kimpact Development Initiative, and we'll be talking more about Edo election when we return. And of course, we would like to hear from you as well. If you are from that part of town, feel free to jump on this conversation. Let's know what you think about elections in Edo and how we can have a peaceful election in Edo and Ondo states, to be precise. Feel free to join the conversation after this break. It's the Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're right back in a moment.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this. 99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk.
Let's talk. This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
It's the Morning Crossfire 99.3 Nigeria Info, and we have dedicated today's show to Edo election, approaching it from the angle of facts and figures. You get to hear more about Edo election on Hard Facts, where Sandra will be taking charge of events next week on exactly the facts and figures that will be coming up then. For Hard Facts comes up from 3 to 6 most days, all through the week. All right, so you should listen to that one. Okay, I have Bukola Idowu from Kimpact Development on the show. Today, Kimpact Development is a youth-focused non-profit, non-partisan, non-governmental organization that advances good governance. He joins me via the telephone this morning. Bukola, thank you again for joining us on the Crossfire today.
Thank you for having me once again.
Now, before I come back to you, let's quickly take a word or two from Lagos listening to us right now. So Lagos, Bukola is here. If you've got any questions for Bukola as to what you think about Edo governorship election, if you're from there, you can ask him questions as well. I've got plenty of mine here to ask Bukola, but this is about you as well. 0700 993 993 993. That's right. That is 0700 993 993 993. That is. I think I've lost Bukola's call. Bukola, are you there? Oh, I think I've lost Bukola's call. Apologies for that. Hopefully we'll get Bukola back on the line. Then we can talk to Bukola. Well, let's go and take a few more calls now. Hello, good morning to you. Yes, good morning.
Wow, lucky me, my first trial, and I got it.
Yes, we're lucky.
I tell you. Man, last week I saw a video on, I think, Facebook, on one politician brought one native doctor to a poster of one of the contestants in Ondo election.
Yes.
And was making some incantations. And saying, I was like, what's going on here? It's a candidate that brought a herbalist to come and do incantation on another
on a poster.
Politician contesting. Yes. I was like, has it gone to this level? You know, it's appalling.
Yeah.
The lengths that people can go, politicians can go,
right.
to several fetish things.
Right.
Now, we've heard of so many fetish things happening, especially Ondo is my state. I come from Ondo State.
Okay.
So and I know what I'm saying. A lot of fetish things going on that politicians really do to get to that position. Is it by force? Is it by fight? Is it by bloodshedding or life being lost? It hasn't gotten to that level. If there's not something really in that place that they are looking to get into,
right,
they won't be doing all these things. So that means there's something that they really want to get,
right?
Maybe power, money, and all that influence. So it shouldn't be like that.
Thank you.
Leadership is servanthood.
Right. Thank you for talking to me. I appreciate your time. I really do. Bukola has rejoined us. Bukola, we lost you for a bit there. I think it was network. Thank you for rejoining.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see if we're trying to process another call right now. Once we're able to process that call, I think it's Emmanuel. Emmanuel will be patched through to the studio in a moment, anytime now. But let me quickly take this comment from Twitter. Adeyemi Adepoju says, you can't predict what politicians will do next after election. They will be desperate. Emmanuel is in Surulere. Emmanuel, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Sheriff.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm happy to see with you. I'm from a district.
Good.
Yeah. I want to find out who are the people to actually enlighten people about the voting. Because I'm very surprised to be hearing 70% of the vote. No one aware of.
Emmanuel, I don't understand your question. Can you repeat that question?
Okay, my question is that whose duty to enlighten the people?
Oh, whose role? Whose job?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To enlighten the voter about the protocol concerning the election, concerning the COVID-19 protocol on the voting day. So I'm surprised to hear 70% they are not aware.
I hear you, Mano. I hear you now. Thank you for talking to me. I appreciate it. All right.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah.
And this is one of the points that Bukola made earlier on as to whose job is it. Okay, let's let that go. As to whose job, it is to educate people. And Bukola rightly mentioned that, of course, it's the job of INEC to do that and other stakeholders as well. Solomon is calling in from Ojodubega. Solomon, good morning to you. Solomon, you're live on air. Hello, Solomon, can you hear me? Solomon, incidentally, I can't hear you, Solomon. Can you hear me, Solomon? Oh, sorry, Solomon. Apologies. I can't hear you. Hello, good morning to you. I can't hear you too. Bukola, let's quickly talk about, we're processing another call here, but very quickly, I would like a very short response from you. Okay, maybe I should just wait. Let me just take a tweet. Let me take a tweet while we process that particular caller. I don't know those advising... okay, I think you are talking about another thing entirely, so we can't take this. All right, so here we go. Okay, that's another message for another conversation entirely on our Twitter page. I'm just going to skip. Okay, so here we go. Santino X on Twitter says, I think if I was a youth, I've lost all faith in the system through the years. Even if I risk my life to vote, it will not make any difference. I have to rebuild my faith in politics and not just blame the youths for their perceived indifference. Now, let's speak with Diokpa Onua, who is in Marlborough. Hello, Diokpa. Diokpa, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Let me speak with Bukola now. Bukola, let's talk about the utterances, actions, attitudes, disposition of the actors, the politicians in the forthcoming elections in Edo. What have you found out from what is making it to the public domain? There seemed to be tension even in that space. A market was invaded by some supporters the other day. There was another violence in some part of the state another day. The tension seemed to be very high, and the likelihood of having peaceful election in Edo State is fast depreciating. What have you found out? What can you tell us?
Well, basically, I must say that the issue of violence and potential for violence in Edo State is worrying. And if you recollect, the king, the paramount ruler, which is the Oba of Benin, called the actors at some point.
Very true.
To address this.
Right. And
for him to do that, it shows that the thing is getting out of hand. From our own reports, because after our survey, we started releasing fact sheets. We have a lot of monitors on ground who are monitoring this issue of electoral violence. And I can tell you categorically that what we have recorded over 50 cases of violence in that particular place, documented.
Wow.
Documented.
Wow.
I mean, I'm talking about between July till last week.
Over 50.
Over 50. And it ranges between hate speech, intimidation, violence, destruction of materials, which is campaign material, destruction of billboard, destruction of posters. Murder is there. People have died. As I'm talking to you, election has not taken place. People have died.
Oh my
so
word.
Murder is there. So we release it, and I think I will share with you today. And we release it with dates it happened, the perpetrator, the victim, and even the time.
You confirm the perpetrators of these
exactly
deeds.
Of course we in fact I can just give you it's even online, it's on the website.
Okay.
We uploaded everything.
Okay.
So what it means is that look, the tension is high. As I'm talking, in fact, just not only intimidation, but you even see our concern now is the proliferation of small arms in this this particular state now, and then you have also been hearing accusation and counter accusation that this politician is sponsoring people to buy gun. This one is buying gun. This one is we deny. The other one we say no, is the one that is buying gun. But whether you like it or not, there will be accusation and counter accusation of gun running in the state. At the same time, that you hear gunshots in some of the campaigns, and people actually, and then when the gunshots taken, when you hear that kind of gunshot, it is not the military, it is not the police, it is just the talks, the political talks now doing most of this. And so for us now, it is serious. You have people who have been killed. You have hate speech going on.
Yeah.
You have a lot of inciting statements going on, and on this election. So
will this have any impact on voter turnout? 50 is too much. 50 is just too, come on.
Exactly, it's going to have a lot of impact on voters turnout, because the truth of the matter is that, number one, person living with disability will not feel comfortable to come out, because if anything happens, how will they run? That is so. And then you are losing that particular demographic, because they are not likely going to come out. Now, the second people that are not likely to come out are the women. So, because they, of course, normally they won't want to come out to come and face some of these things. Then again, voters turnout itself will reduce, because people will say, look, they are likely going to fight, so I'm not interested, I'm not coming, so let me just stay in my house. It's better to stay safe. And so that has been what has been happening. And again, see, look, when you look at 2016 data, you find out that the voters turnout in Edo has been very, very low. Over the years, it's gradually reducing over the years. For instance, when you look at in 2013, that was 2003.
Yeah.
That was the time we had the highest voters turnout in Edo. And when you look at it, it was just 78% of the people that registered to vote came
voters.
Came out, 78%. Now, coming back to in 2016, it has reduced to 32%. And in 2019 general election, which is the presidential election, the people that came out are just 28%.
From 78 to 28.
From 78% in 2003. I'm talking about 2019 February election.
Oh my word.
Presidential election. It has reduced to 28%. So, which means a lot of factors are responsible. But one of the key ones is this issue of violence, intimidation is disturbing.
What is the role? What have you noticed? What role do you think the security agencies, all of them, have taken towards curbing the level of violence? Because 50 is just way too much for me. It's really. It's not good to hear, and you would think that now that we have off-cycle elections, we'll have security being focused, being channeled in abundance to these two states. What have you seen on the ground? The role of security agencies in curbing this violence?
The security agencies, for now, I must say they are trying, but we need to see them doing more. That is one thing because when you look at it, people really need to see arrests being made and prosecution, and people are behind the bars, taken to court. And like we used to say, in 2019 general election, over 1,800 people were arrested in that election. 2019 general election, over 1,800 people were arrested. And as I'm talking to you, and of course, I'm also speaking on here now. If you have seen anybody that have successfully been prosecuted, taken to court, and they are convicted, probably I don't have the right information.
Right.
But we have not seen anybody. You understand? So what that is, and when people do this and go scot-free, and this is where more people will want to join that particular action to do more. So for us now, with what we have, the security are still providing covered. They are still providing security for those both parties. They are making sure that both of them are not having their campaign around the same time, so that they want to avoid the clashes of the party. They have been doing that excellently. But having said that, we want to see on the day of election, maybe a day, two, and after the election, truly impartial security forces. And that is key. See, because we are in off-cycle election does not take away violence, because they will tell you, security will say they are deploying a lot of people. But look at Kogi, it was off-cycle election. It's a case study.
True.
So what it means is that the police are there, but are they truly impartial? So that is the truth. And what we keep saying is that they are Nigerian police, they are Nigerian army, not a party police, not a party army.
Right.
So we want to see truly impartial security to be able to cop most of these things on the day of election.
Indeed. Let's get back to the phone lines, Bukola, and take some more thoughts in. 0700 993 993 993. It's 8:50 from our studios here, which means we've got like 3-4 minutes more to go on the show, right? Okay. Let's take this comment very quickly on Facebook before we finish processing our first call. Good morning, Mr. Quadry and Mr. Bukola. If INEC wants to run free and fair election in Edo and Ondo, I believe the sensitization of the youth should have started right before now. The politicians will not wait till now to strategize their disruption of the process in their favor. Victor is joining us from Orile. Victor, good morning to you. Hello, Victor. Victor, can you hear me? Victor, I can't hear you. I'm really, really sorry. Victor, can you hear? I can't hear you, Victor. Do try and call me back if you can, okay? Do try and call me back. I would appreciate it. Chinoyerem Victor on Facebook says, it's very sad that the NOA is dead in Nigeria. I grew up enjoying those electing awareness regarding Nigeria's unity. Glad to be here after a long time. Good stuff, Sheriff, Mr. V. Mr. V, thank you for your thought. Appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it. Now, I'm going to quickly go to Paul Osas, who is in Okota, joining us from Okota this morning. Paul, good morning to you. Hello, Paul. Can you hear me? Paul, I can't hear you, Paul. Can you hear me? Paul, I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. But honestly speaking, I cannot hear you, Paul. Bukola, before I come to you, let me quickly take Obot Indiana from Twitter. Obot says, have we ever seen any peaceful election in Nigeria before? People must die during and after election. No, that's not true. People don't have to die during or after election. Hello, good morning to you. Hello. I'm so sorry, but I can't hear you as well, okay? I can't hear you. Do try and call me back if you can, okay? Try and call me back. Hello, good morning to you. We lost that call. The one that we can hear, we lost it. They try and call me back if you can, okay? Bukola, let me come to you because we need to begin to wrap off right now. And my question to you on a final note is going to be very general. You have mentioned, I saw the video as well, the role of Oba Benin. He was very frank when he was talking to these politicians, the two of them, the one that I saw. But I haven't seen much of the people's, especially notable politicians in that state coming to take neutral ground. How would you say the impact or the consequence or otherwise of their seeming what do you call it now, silence could be for the election next week?
Well, for me, the moment somebody is how will I put it, belong to a political party. So there is all tendency for them to take side with their political party. So that is why we find it difficult to get people who are truly neutral in this election, who are politicians that can call the other people to order. And that is why we just felt that, look, the politicians are the major actors that need to be curbed. I mean, their actions need to be curbed. They need to be spoken to. So, but the truth of the matter is that they cannot actually speak to themselves because they are they are the one running. They are the one fueling most of these things. But if you ask me, we need more people to come in terms, for instance, the security to come in. We need a lot of the civil society organization to come in to do a lot of sensitization in this regard, and we need more of the traditional institution to come in. Then again, we also need, one of the things I also understand about Edo State is that it's a very religious state too. So we need more religious leaders to also come into this and do that. But if we now think the politicians we call themselves to order, it is not likely going to happen. For instance, when you hear what the Oba of Benin said, he said he had been trying to bring them together since they're finding it difficult. So, but if you ask me, now, the actors that needed to be curbed in this election are the actors that needed to be up and doing in this coming election for us to have peaceful election. Number one, the politicians need to play by the rule. They need to call their followers to order to have peaceful election. Number two, we need to have impartial security agency in this coming election. Number three, we need to have INEC transparency, and the impartiality is also key in this election. So, and I think with that, we're likely going to have a peaceful election.
Mukala, thank you so much for joining me on the Crossfire today. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And good work. Impact Development is doing great job. Please keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. There you go, Lagos. Bukola Ido of Impact Development Initiative joining us on the show this morning. We're out of time, Lagos. That's much we can have for you today on the Morning Crossfire. We are back on Monday with fresh conversations. As a matter of fact, everything is lined up for you already with our guest. So we're going to have a great time, a great week next week. No doubt about it. I'm Sheriff Quadry. You can follow me on my socials, on Twitter at Sheriff Quadry, on Instagram at Sheriff Quadry. LinkedIn is at Sheriff Quadry as well. Hit me up. Let's chat. Let's talk. Conversation never stops with me. If I'm off air, I am online. Let's keep talking. Good morning to you. Coming up next is Jimmy Disu on Daily Digest.
More conversation, more talk, more